Good morning everyone, my name is Chris Birch and I'm a student at BYU Independent Study. In this video, I have been assigned to talk to you about the differences between white blood cells and red blood cells, how they are different, what roles they serve, and how if both of them, if there's too much of red blood cells and there's too much of white blood cells, how that can affect our body. And so, I'm first going to start off here with white blood cells. White blood cells, the main purpose and role of white blood cells is to fight infections in our body. It's like if we were infected with a certain type of germ, the role of white blood cells is to hunt down this germ and to destroy it. White blood cells also are different than red blood cells due to their large size. They aren't as small or crescent shaped as the red blood cells. So right here in this picture, so I'm sorry for the quality of the video. I've done my best to try to mark the parts where the red blood is, and right here you can see in this picture where the size of the white blood cells differs greatly from the size of the red blood cells. And so notice that there is also a larger number of red blood cells. The main reason of that is because due to the fact that there is more red blood in us than there is in white blood cells. This is why our blood is entirely red, not white. So also there's also a disease that can be caused if there is a higher number of white blood cells. This disease is called leukocytosis, while a decrease in white blood cells means that your immune system is in great danger because white blood cells are vital for the body's system to fight infections and germs and diseases. So now that we have talked about what white blood cells are, let's talk about what red blood cells are. So red blood cells are a commonly talked about topic in biology because, of course, like when we cut ourselves, we bleed this red stuff, which is blood. When we get wounded or when we have a cut, when cutting a vegetable, this is our blood, our red blood. And so it is red. Our blood is red, not white. That's one difference that separates this, which is why it's called red blood cells and which is called why it is called white blood cells. And so the reason for red blood cells, their importance in the body, it is to usually filter carbon dioxide out of our bodies, and as well as to transport oxygen to our tissues. And so they are usually shaped right here in a picture I'm going to show you. Again, this is black and white quality. I apologize for the quality of the picture. So here I have colored right here the the cells right here, which are supposed to be red. And so you can also notice right here that it is crescent shaped. Not crescent shaped, sorry. It is usually shaped like a disc or a circle. And so the reason it's shaped like that is because red blood cells do not have a nucleus like white blood cells, like I explained earlier. And this is what explains their their disc-shaped size. So what enables the protein that enables for red blood to transport oxygen is called hemoglobin. And if you have low levels of this usually means signs of a genetic disorder. And if a certain mutation is caused within red blood cells, usually have a crescent-shaped size, not normal for red blood cells. Kind of like how the moon has its crescent-shaped, like in some months the moon has a crescent-shaped size. Well, this is also this is a disease which is called sickle cell anemia, and this is a genetic disease. So now that we have discussed and talked about the differences between red blood cells and white blood cells and their roles they serve in the body, let's talk about what purposes do they serve. And so, like I discussed earlier, white blood cells help fight infection, and red blood cells help transport oxygen to the tissues in our body, as well as to filter carbon dioxide. And one thing that makes them alike, in a way, is due to the fact that if there is a higher number, if there is either a higher number or a lower number of both red blood cells and white blood cells, this usually means problems within your body, serious problems. Like this not exactly like the sickle cell anemia, which is a mutation within the blood, but more like if there is a higher number of white blood cells, there can be a problem. There can be a serious problem, which is a genetic disorder, and if there is a higher amount of red blood cells, this also mirrors white blood, because both are, if there's a higher number, this both usually means genetic disorders in the body. And unlike diseases, genetic disorders cannot be cured. They need to be first, before research can be done, they need to be first analyzed, and they need to be first studied in order for a cure to be found. So now that that is it for today, and I'm glad to have shared my thoughts with you, and have a good day. Goodbye.